Ask the question which everyone is. Did Iran help Russia in striking Ukraine? Or did Iran not help Russia? For starters, here's what the United States has to say.
We assess that Iranian military personnel were on the ground in Crimea and assisted Russia in these operations. Russia has received dozens of these UAVs so far and will likely continue to receive additional shipments in the future.
Now, like you heard, the US is alleging that not only did Iran help the Russian military in operating Iranian drones, but also that the Iranian military was out on the ground in Crimea, helping the Russians firsthand. This is the latest development in a story that began with Ukraine's allegation that Kiev was struck by Iran-made kamikaze drones. Russia denied, as did Iran. And then reports said that Iran will be selling more drones to Russia, also missiles. But there is a defense deal in place between the two countries, and now you have this. Listen in.
We're concerned that Russia may also seek to acquire advanced conventional weapons from Iran. That includes potentially surface-to-air missiles that will almost certainly be used to support Russia's war against Ukraine.
So there is clearly a new alliance at play here, Iran and Russia. Iran had not voted in favor of Russia in the March 2nd UN resolution, remember that. Only Belarus, North Korea, Syria and Eritrea had. But now Iran seems to be actively helping Russia on ground. There are numerous implications. We have been telling you what this means for Israel, which of course is Iran's arch rival, and may now be forced to pick sides. But let's take a look at another aspect tonight. What does all of this mean for Iran? What does Iran stand to gain by supporting Russia? But before that, we must first look at what's happening in Iran. 1. Iran remains one of the world's heavily sanctioned countries. 2. The West was hoping that Iran returns to the talking table on the nuclear deal. You know, the one it signed with 6 world powers back in 2015. 3. Iran is already in the middle of a turbulence. We have been telling you about the protests, the ongoing protests that have rocked the country following the death of a young woman, Mahsa Amini, who was arrested by the country's morality police for so-called inappropriate clothing. This is what Iran looks like right now. Just months ago, US officials were saying that there has been some progress on the nuclear deal front. And now, the US says that Iran's nuclear deal does not appear to be in the offing at all.
It's no secret that a deal does not appear imminent. A deal does not appear in the offing, at least not at the moment.
But you see, one can't help but ask, why is Iran becoming an accomplice in Russia's war? What's Iran to get out of this alliance? Because the price surely is a stiff one. You see, the US is already talking about penalizing Iran for helping Russia. So we are looking at possible economic sanctions, even export controls. This Politico article quotes a US official as saying, are we going to do more about Iranian military sales to Russia? Absolutely yes. Because we are absolutely going to sanction anybody who's helping Iranians help Russians kill Ukrainians. I come back to my original question. What's in it for Iran? And should Israel be worried? So we put these questions to Lieutenant Colonel Daniel L. Davis. He's a defense expert. Listen in to his analysis.
Well, I think that Iran has a great deal to gain because they've been using a lot of these drones and building them, but they really haven't had a chance to see how they work in combat. Certainly not on a large scale. And now that this also elevates their standing in the world because their people are being seen all over the globe of how effective these things are, even with some of the air defense systems that the modern ones that Ukraine is using, they're getting through. And this has raised their stature and certainly is going to potentially open up another stream of revenue for Tehran, but others may want to buy them as well. Israel's in a very, very tough situation because they want to maintain relations with both Ukraine and Russia, and they don't want to put that at risk. Israel benefits from cooperation with Russia really on a large scale, and especially even in the region there in Syria, with Russia controlling a lot of the airspace over Syria, where Israeli aircraft operate sometimes against either the Syrian regime or against Hezbollah rebels in some of those areas, and they need the cooperation with Russia. So I think that's why you've seen them so far staying with just humanitarian aid. And of course, in the relation with the Iranian drones there, that's a concern for them because they don't want to see the Iranian drone program advance and become more effective. But right now, there's really not a lot they can do about that.
Meanwhile, in Russia, President Vladimir Putin was seen inspecting a training ground, even firing shots from a sniper rifle. Now, the footage is from the Ryazan region of Russia. It comes at a time when Russia is preparing for Ukraine's offensive in Kherson. Russia has already declared martial law in 4 occupied regions of Ukraine. And now this video could be Putin's way of displaying his strength. Russia is also accusing Ukraine of planning to blow up the Kakhovka hydroelectric dam. It is located in the Kherson region. Meanwhile, Kiev says it is Russia that's planning to blow up the dam. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has called on the West to send a warning to Russia.
Destroying the dam would mean a large-scale disaster. Of course, we understand that the occupiers do not care what happens to the territory of Ukraine.